What is going on, everybody? I am your host, Slackerz, bringing you a pretty interesting video. I've been thinking about it, and a few months ago, first of all, I did a top 100 characters that could potentially be in Smash DLC, and it did pretty well. A lot of people got to, give their own responses for characters that they want and who they might think. So it kind of made me decide to go back and look at 20, maybe the top 20 underlooked characters for Smash DLC. And yeah, I think this is going to be fun. I think there's quite a few characters on this list that aren't being given consideration, especially for the way that Smash is going forward with DLC. Joker kind of, the whole reference to the gun and the knife might open them up to a bit more, mature characters or just characters you're not going to expect from other franchises that, don't get talked about. So today we're going to be talking about, the top 20. Maybe, kind of. But top 20 characters that could be actually, considered for Smash DLC. So, and remember, this list is not in any order. It's just 20 characters. So don't take their placement on the list that seriously. So let's just start off with the first one. Peashooter. Now think about this. Peashooter from Plants vs. Zombies. More specifically, I guess you could say the Garden Warfare series. So there's definitely different tons of Peashooters. You got your regular, you got fire, ice, toxic, electric, rock. I mean, there's so many different ones. Plus, if you've ever played the Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare series, every character has a few abilities. The Peashooter could have like a Gatling gun sort of ability for his final smash. Just rapidly fires a whole bunch of P-shots, whatever, all over the stage, just dealing pretty good amount of damage to anybody in the path. But yeah, you could do a lot of cool stuff with the moveset. You could have it do, shoot out 2 Ps. Like I said, you could do, fire Ps, ice Ps, electric Ps, all sorts of different kind of, I guess you want to call like effect damages, if you want to put it that way, that you could use for the moveset. I think would be absolutely really cool. So I think Peashooter might be something to maybe kind of consider now. So moving on to the next one we got is going to be Monokuma from the Dangrana, I don't know the series, but Monokuma, this little possessed sort of teddy bear, is actually pretty popular. Has mods actually made for it for Smash Wii U, I believe. I believe this is actually one of the screenshots taken from it, but overall for the moveset, I think you can actually come up with quite a bit for this character. Very popular in terms of, I guess, just as a character. There's quite a bit. If you bring this character's name up to anybody, well, maybe not anybody, but most people, they're gonna know who this is, and I think it would be a pretty unique addition to the roster. Plus, I believe Monokuma has appeared on a Nintendo platform in the past, if I'm not mistaken, but definitely a character to kind of consider going forward. So there you go. Monokuma is the next one. So moving on to number 3. Now this is kind of a tie. It is going back to the Killer Instinct franchise. Now, if younger gamers might not know, Killer Instinct actually started off on Nintendo. So N64, there's like Killer Instinct Gold, Killer Instinct 2, quite a few Killer Instinct games, and Jago, some people say Jago, but this guy on screen would have to be one of the more likely candidates to be a fighter. Plus, they come from a fighting game. They have history with Nintendo. So if Microsoft is to get a rep, and, a lot of people talk about Master Chief, Banjo, Steve, potentially Cuphead, even though Cuphead isn't a Microsoft game. They just own the rights to it, the publishing rights. But Killer Instinct is something that kind of few people seldomly talk about. It just kind of gets forgotten, but it has great history with Nintendo. Not only Jago, but Saberwolf, I think, would make the most sense for the franchise if Killer Instinct were to get a playable rep. Again, it's a fighting franchise. Moveset's already made. They have great history with Nintendo, and it's something that could and should be considered moving forward for DLC in Smash Bros. So yes, Jago, however you want to pronounce it, and Saberwolf. So moving on to the next one, we have Pyrrha Nikos. I don't really know too much about this character, to be honest. I just see a lot of people talking about the character. So, I mean, if a lot of people are going to talk about it, then, there's definitely a fan demand for it. And if there's a fan demand, potentially Nintendo will be listening to the fans. If the rumor is indeed true that we're going to get a second or maybe even a third fighter pass. So a lot of people are starting to think if there's indeed multiple fighter passes, the first one will be pretty much advertising, third parties that they can advertise. And then the second one might be a bit more fan demand, popular characters that the fans really want to see, because Smash Ultimate is a fan service game after all. So if this character's name keeps getting brought up, there's a good chance that could be considered moving forward. So yeah, Pyrrha Nikos definitely is a contender. Moving on, I think another one that a lot of people don't really think about, but Borderlands franchise is one of the biggest franchises to date. The game sells extremely well. It is one of 2K's and Take-Two's biggest games, biggest franchises that they own. Now, you could say, if Borderlands were to get a rep in Smash Bros., they already have tons of other characters from the main story that could be considered. But what about Claptrap? I think a lot of people would understand this one. He's a funny little robot. He's got some nice funny quotes and lines and that sort of stuff. Plus, he was playable in the pre-sequel, so you can take moveset inspiration from that. I think he'd be pretty cool, pretty fun addition. And plus, doesn't Rob kind of need a friend? Rob needs a little robot buddy, so there you go. You could have a little robot tandem. That'd be kind of fun. But yeah, Claptrap from Borderlands, and well, Borderlands 3 is releasing later this year. Unfortunately, not on the Switch, but still be a really cool addition. Moving on, how about Jack Frost from the Shin Megami Tensei series? I don't know, this just kind of popped into my head after. It might not make sense to some people, but, after, we kind of got to see how Joker was played and, the series that he comes from. I don't know. Jack Frost just, for some reason, popped in my head. I wanted to put him on this list. I've seen a few other people talking about him, so I don't know. What do you think? Jack Frost, could he make a interesting character? I think so. But, I mean, he's a pretty popular character from his series, I would say. So, yeah, I'm just going to put him on the list. So, moving on, next up. Now, another series that has good history with Nintendo is Battletoads. And I believe there is a new Battletoads game in the works, but I believe it's just for the Xbox. So, but still, nonetheless, history with Nintendo, if Microsoft is going to get a rep, I think Battletoads might be a series that could get some consideration, and potentially Rash. And the main reason I bring up Rash is because he was put in Killer Instinct as a playable character. So I guess that would probably make him the leading contender for any Battletoads, if they were to get a rep. So yeah, I mean, you could go with a couple other ones. Who else do they got? Like Zitz and I forget the other ones. But yeah, if Battletoads were to get a rep, I don't think it would be too surprising because, well, they have history with Nintendo after all. All right, moving on. Now, this one might be a little weird. This dude over here on the right-hand side that I'm kind of circling with my mouse, doing the little salute. Foreman Spike from an old game, Wrecking Crew. Kind of a Mario sort of franchise character, if you want to put it that way. Wrecking Crew already has a stage in Smash Ultimate, so to have a playable character to go along with it maybe might not be out of the question, but if the Mario franchise were to get a new playable character, I don't think this guy's at the top of the list. So yeah, but anyway, Foreman Spike gets a mention at least on the list. Next up, a lot of people think Assassin's Creed could potentially be a rep, especially if we're going to go for sort of the more mature-ish sort of character and the vibe and series and all that stuff. So I guess the front runner, if any Assassin's Creed character got in, I guess Ezio Auditore would have to be the, I guess, leading contender. Definitely already has the moveset made. You can do, stealth attack. I don't know. He's got all sorts of different weapons and sort of unique abilities you can factor in and come up with a moveset. So I think it'd be great. It'd be awesome. It'd kind of be a nice fit. Plus, didn't he guest star in one of the Soul Calibur games, if I'm not mistaken? So he's already crossed over into a fighting game before. Why not do it in Smash? Next up, we have, if it will go, there we go, Jibanyan. I think that's how you pronounce it. Yokai Watch series. I mean, this Yokai Watch is definitely gaining popularity as a series, as a game, as just fans love it. This guy's pretty much the mascot of the series. It's kind of considered like the Pikachu of the Yokai Watch series, so I don't know too much about it, but I know who the character is. I know the popularity behind him, and if you brought this character over to Smash, be some interesting little mashups you can do with characters and matchups you can have and all that stuff. So Shobana, if that is how you pronounce it, I hope, but make a pretty interesting character nonetheless. Moving on, we have up next General Rom, again going back to Microsoft. I mean, if you're going to talk about Microsoft, you might as well just open the door at this point for all their franchises that they own, people that have history with Nintendo, for former Nintendo franchises, and even Xbox franchises. So Gears of War might not be the most likely. I understand that, but what about General Rom? He's one of the most iconic villains from the Gears of War franchise. He's been in Killer Instinct as well. Quite a bit of these characters on this list have been Killer Instinct. That's weird, but yeah, General Rom, be a fearsome powerhouse, big time. He's got the krill. He's got his little sword. He can hit hard. I think he'd kind of be like a bigger, slower character, but he would just hit really hard. Be a pretty interesting addition if that were to ever happen. But yeah, moving on. How about Pauline, another Mario potential rep? She had the big role in Super Mario Odyssey as the mayor of New Donk City, and I think after that whole game, everyone kind of got Pauline in their heads, and I believe she was just a DLC character in Mario Tennis Aces, if I'm not mistaken, so Nintendo might kind of be looking to push her a little bit and potentially be in Smash Bros. As a DLC character. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility whatsoever. But let's also move on to Hat Kid, an indie game that has sold over, I believe, 1 million copies. Done pretty well. Character would be a pretty cool sort of, it'd be a nice fit and would definitely fit in with the vibe of Smash Bros. The sort of cartoonish, stylistic, play styles, I think would be great. Has the pretty good moveset revolved around like these badges, and her umbrella would be a lot of fun stuff you can come up with there. But Hat Kid, also another Mario, I'd classify more as the Yoshi. As the Yoshi series, but Kamik, main villain of, or one of the main villains of the Yoshi series. Plus, isn't it time that Yoshi series kind of gets that second rep, right? Kamik would make a perfect addition, has an awesome little magic sort of moveset, and just a character that people would recognize. So if you recognize it, there's a good chance you'll buy it at least. So Kamik is on the list. Moving on, now I didn't know who to exactly put, so just Team Fortress in general. I know you got like the engineer, you got the spy, you got heavy. There's all sorts of different classes you can choose from. But I guess just a Team Fortress character in general. I mean, Team Fortress is a pretty popular game after all, so to see one of these characters be included in Smash, I don't think is out of the realm of possibility, but it's not something people talk about, so that's why they're on the list. Moving on, we have Stanley the Bug Man, another older Mario character. Yeah, would this one happen? Probably not, but can throw the name out there for the character at least. So yeah, Stanley the Bug Man. Plus, he does have Mr. Game & Watch. Has his little A-jab attack. That's kind of a reference to Stanley the Bug Man. So he's got, I guess he has that going for him. But if Game & Watch already has that attack, would there be any point for Stanley the Bug Man? I don't know. Whatever. Moving on, we have come on. There we go. Captain Rainbow. Another kind of forgotten sort of character from Nintendo's past and Nintendo's history. Would make a pretty cool character, actually. Some people think he'd be like a straight up Captain Falcon clone, and you could see it by like the body type and the way that he kind of carries himself. I can see that, but no, he's kind of got his own sort of stuff. So Captain Rainbow, I do believe, is something or a character to at least consider moving forward. Might not be the most likely, but that's why they're underlooked characters, and that's why he's on the list. How about Marks from the Kirby series? Now, Marks could be considered. The only problem that I think people would have if Marks got in would be that Bandana Waddle Dee would not have been in as a playable character. So I guess would Nintendo want to deal with that backlash? Nintendo is fully aware that Bandana Waddle Dee is one of the more requested characters from the fan base. So, but still, Marks is a big character from the Kirby series. A villain, is in Kirby Star Allies. So, definitely relevant. Has multiple roles. Big character. People know the name. So, it's a name to definitely consider. Moving on to another sort of indie game here. Cave Story. Quote. Don't know anything about the character, but, if you talk about indie-ish games, I think Quote's got to be considered at least, but I think there's other indie reps that would make much more sense, such as potentially Shovel Knight. I know he's an assist trophy, but I'm just throwing his name out there as an example. Potentially Shantae. Yes, I know she's a spirit. Sans potentially from Undertale. There's a lot from indies that could be getting a rep, so I don't think Quote would be too high on the list, but still one that kind of gets underlooked that you might be able to talk about. And then last but not least, yes, why did I include this? If you don't know who this is, it's Sailor Moon, and I'm just going to end it right there.